A 13-year-old girl vanishes without a trace on a freezing winter afternoon. No footprints in the snow, no signs of struggle, just gone. For nearly 3 decades, her family has been haunted by unanswered questions. Was it an escape, an abduction, or something much closer to home? Rachel Mellon Skemp was born in October of 1982 and lived in Bolingbrook, Illinois. She was a bright, intelligent girl who excelled in school, frequently making the honor roll. But while her academic life shined, her home life was a bit different, one filled with pain and secrets. Rachel's parents, Jeff and Amy Skemp, separated when she was just 3 years old. In 1985, her mother entered a relationship with Vincent Mellon, a man who claimed he would raise Rachel as his own. Her last name was changed to Rachel Mellon Skemp, a symbolic gesture that should have signified love and protection. Instead, it bound her to something far more sinister. Amy and Vincent went on to have two more children, Jason in 1988 and Ashley in 1990. To outsiders, the Mellons appeared to be a loving family. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. What went on inside that home was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Rachel was subjected to unimaginable mistreatment at the hands of her soft-spoken stepfather. His true nature slowly began to surface, revealing a man who controlled his family through fear and violence. To the outside world, he was just an ordinary man. But inside that home, he was a monster. By 1990, the household had become a battleground. The fights between Amy and Vincent escalated to the point where during one particular violent altercation, Vincent shoved Amy down the stairs. In response, Amy filed a restraining order. But like so many victims of mistreatment, she eventually dropped the charge and returned back to Vincent. The mistreatment didn't stop. It only grew worse. And at this time, Vincent turned his cruelty toward Rachel. By 1995, at just 12 years old, Rachel had enough. She ran away from home, seeking refuge at a friend's house. But instead of knocking on the door, she found a quiet place outside and spent the night there. Perhaps this was the first peaceful sleep she had in a long time. The next morning, her grandparents picked her up. But instead of taking her to a safe place, they returned her back to the very place she had been so desperate to escape. That summer, Rachel was allowed to visit her biological father in Texas. Although she didn't openly reveal the horrors she faced at home, she did ask to move in with him permanently. But Rachel always ended up back in that house, back with Vincent. By the fall of 1995, Rachel was in the 7th grade. She was beautiful, intelligent, and well-liked. Despite the torment she faced at home, she maintained good grades and a strong social presence. Her closest friends knew the truth about her not favoring her stepfather and being unhappy at home, but even they couldn't have predicted what would happen next. In January of 1996, Rachel's friend Carrie found her crying in front of her locker. This was unusual. Rachel rarely showed her pain in public. When asked what was wrong, Rachel simply told her friends, "I'll take care of it myself." She didn't elaborate. She shut them out. And that was the last time they ever saw her. On January the 31st of 1996, Rachel stayed home from school sick. She complained of a sore throat and stayed in bed, wrapped in a blue blanket, resting her head on two pillows. The only person home with her that day was her stepfather, Vincent. Why was Vincent home in the middle of the day? Because Vincent was unemployed, a man who demanded so much from his wife and children, who controlled them through fear. He contributed nothing financially to his family. That day, the temperature in Bolingbrook plummeted to a negative 20 degrees. Snow blanketed the ground, making it nearly impossible to travel. At 10:45 a.m., Rachel called her grandmother to thank her for a Christmas gift she recently received. And during the conversation, Rachel grew quiet. Her grandmother asked, "Is he there?" Rachel whispered, "Yes." And then she disconnected the call with her grandmother. According to Vincent, he and Rachel played Nintendo for a while before she went into her room to rest. He claimed that was the last time he saw her. At 2:30 p.m., Vincent claimed he checked on Rachel. She was still sleeping. Then he decided to take the family dog, Duke, for a walk. Remember, the temperature was a negative 20 degrees, with strong winds and heavy snowfall. Yet Vincent insists he walked the dog for 30 minutes in this brutal weather. On their way home, Duke saw a rabbit and slipped out of his collar and ran off. Vincent didn't chase him though. Instead, he went home assuming the dog would return on its own. At 3:15 p.m., Rachel's younger sister arrived home from school and immediately noticed that Rachel was missing. When she asked her father, Vincent, where Rachel was, he seemed unconcerned. He made no effort to look for her. And then hours passed. Between 4:30 and 5, a real estate agent spotted a dog running through a field. Recognizing it was Duke, she brought him back home. Even the dog could not escape this house. Amy arrived home shortly after. Immediately realizing something was wrong, she called the police. When officers arrived, they searched Rachel's room. Something wasn't right. Her coat, her wallet, her shoes, and her Sony Walkman were all still there. Items that no one would leave behind in the dead of winter. But something was missing out of Rachel's room. Her blue blanket and her two pillows were gone. There was no signs of forced entry, and Vincent claimed he left the front door unlocked when he took Duke for a walk. Conveniently, considering that would explain how someone could have entered the home without breaking in. Police also noticed Vincent's arms were covered in scratches. When questioned about them, Vincent claimed he had been working on a car the day before and cut himself on the engine. Authorities launched extensive ground and aerial searches. They checked airports, fearing that Rachel may have attempted to run away again. But there was no trace of Rachel. With no evidence of an intruder, no signs of forced entry, and Rachel's belongings still in the home, the police turned their attention to the one person who was with her that day, Vincent Mellon. Police focused on the immediate family of Rachel, and during their investigation, the real feelings that Vincent harbored for Rachel were revealed. Police searched through every item in Rachel's room and discovered her diary. In her diary, Rachel wrote about her emotions, experiences with friends, school, and her mistreatment at home. Police were shaken by what they read in Rachel's diary. Rachel revealed that her father misused her in ways that no man should do to any child. Rachel wrote that in August of 1995, her stepfather Vincent entered her room and began to kiss her, among other things. Rachel wrote that Vincent told her he was doing this so that she would know how predators acted in hopes she would avoid them. The manipulation he tried to play on Rachel did not work. Remember, this very intelligent girl was an honor roll student. She knew this was wrong. And that's why, in my opinion, it was written in her diary. Police also located a book titled Daddy's Kisses, which is about a father-daughter relationship. Incest, basically. People are very weird. During the continuous search of Rachel's room, police located a knife under a decorative pillow on Rachel's bed. I feel that she put the knife there for protection against her stepfather, Vincent. On the day Rachel went missing, her best friend Carrie heard the news at about 6 p.m. Carrie met with her friends from school and told them that Rachel was missing. They all left and began searching for their dear friend. This friend group searched for over an hour in the freezing cold, searching for Rachel. They searched nearby parks, stores, and streets, but they didn't find her. After their search, they came together and began to cry. Rachel was their friend, and it pained them that they did not know what happened to her, and they were not able to help her. Around this same time in Texas, Jeff Skemp, remember him? Rachel's biological father. He received a call informing him of Rachel's disappearance. Frantic and worried, Jeff quit his job and got on a flight to help search for his baby and to also find out more information regarding her disappearance. Not to be insensitive here, but this is why it is important to keep an active physical relationship with your child. Money is important when it comes to raising a child, but your presence is far more valuable. When Jeff arrived at the home of Amy and Vincent, he headed straight to Rachel's room and laid on her bed. He wanted to be as close as he could to his child. While laying on her bed, he grabbed her Walkman and listened to some of her favorite music. Filled with emotions, Jeff confronted Vincent about what happened to his daughter. Vincent could only say that Rachel had been kidnapped while he was walking the dog. Vincent was not concerned about the whereabouts of Rachel. He acted as if the little girl, who he raised for more than half of her life, meant nothing to him. No emotions, no concern, nothing. Jeff Skemp, Rachel's biological father, refused to lose hope. Ever since that cold, chilling day in 1996, Jeff has had the same phone number, praying that one day his daughter would call him. In January of 2000, a grand jury retrieved a warrant to take DNA samples from Vincent. On January the 29th of 2000, police picked up Vincent from his home and took him into custody. Police interrogated Vincent for 9 hours and took his DNA. During the interrogation, Vincent refused to answer any questions about Rachel's disappearance. After police retrieved the DNA sample from Vincent, they began to investigate him under the suspicion of first-degree murder. Rumors were circulating that Rachel may have been pregnant by her stepfather, Vincent, and this is what prompted the warrant for the DNA samples. Now, there is no evidence of this rumor because Rachel has not been recovered. But if she is found, The DNA will be on file and ready to test. However, the thoughts of Rachel written in her diary are concerning, and this rumor is not far-fetched. Vincent was given a lie detector test during this time, and he failed miserably. Amy, Rachel's mother, was questioned, and she does not believe that Vincent had anything to do with Rachel's disappearance. Amy was also given a lie detector test, and she passed. I believe that Rachel passed her lie detector test because she genuinely does not believe that her husband would harm her daughter. I feel that there is some speculation based off of his behavior, but no mother wants to accept the fact that she allowed this man into her daughter's life, and he took it. In my opinion, I feel that Amy is covering up for her husband, which is sad to see. The love for this man, who obviously doesn't treat her well, is more than the love of her sweet, innocent daughter, who probably would never do anything to hurt her. After the interrogation with police, Vincent and Amy both refused to speak with them. In doing this, it stalls the investigation into the disappearance of Rachel, because her last known whereabouts were at home. The person who saw her last was Vincent, who knows her better than her mother. But they didn't care. They halted all communication with investigators. Amy and Vincent refused to hold any type of memorial service for Rachel. It took the city of Bolingbrook in 2002 to plant a tree and lay a plaque in honor of Rachel and place it directly across the street from her home. The police department has stated they have every reason to believe that Vincent unalived his stepdaughter, but without a body, they can't charge him. Rachel's biological father, Jeff, and her best friend, Carrie, have been the driving force in keeping Rachel's story alive and searching for her. While Rachel's mother and her stepfather refused to help in any way, Rachel was a brilliant girl. She knew how to survive. She had endured more in her 13 years on this earth than most people face in a lifetime. But what do you think? Do you think she finally decided to leave for good? Or do you think something much darker happened at that home? One thing is certain. Someone knows what happened to Rachel. The Bolingbrook police consider this case as active and open, and they are welcoming any tips that will bring a solution to this case. So if you have any information that will help and bring justice to Rachel, please contact the Bolingbrook Police Department at 630-226-0600. And remember, Mystery Squad, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if you see something, say something. Until next time.